One of my first house I did for the client, and I was very proud of this house, beautiful house. But the buyer was a guy from Belgium. He was in the closes business around Europe. And he really was the most picky guy I never seen in my life. When he go inside the house, he was happy. Then he started to look like things that even my eyes didn't see. It was not like perfect, things like this. And I saw, my God, and I realized that I was far away from the perfection. Each time I do a house, I imagine myself living inside. I don't do just give to the architect a project and say, design me a house. No, I imagine myself living in this house.
Welcome to the Builder Straight Talk podcast with your host, Michael Nicolai. Get the unfiltered truth from the trenches of construction, real estate, and funding. This episode is made possible by our parent company, Sound Capital, funding built for builders.
Well, hey there, friend. Welcome back to Builder Straight Talk. Michael Nicolai here, your host. And what a conversation I've got in store for you this week. It was with a gentleman by the name of Pascal Nicolai, who came to the U.S. in 2008. And he migrated from France and thought, I'm going to start a brand new building company. In 2008, as you may recall, was an apocalypse. I mean, everything financially was melting down in the U.S. But he gets this idea in his head. Perfect timing to build a new company in construction. So he starts buying courthouse sales and he does fix and flips. And from that, he's able to amass a fortune. Like this guy has sold over $225 million worth of real estate. And over the next 2 years, he has another $220 million cited in projects. 2 years. Now, these aren't wide tract subdivisions. They are high-end luxury homes in Miami, probably one of the most competitive marketplaces on the planet. And to give you a bit of a backstory, 45 million, 20 million, 80 million, those are the common sale prices of some of the homes that he's built. 9,000 square feet. But here's the really interesting thing. When he builds a home, he builds it with himself in mind, meaning he would move into that home. So everything is completely done. Linens, plates, like everything is done. It's move-in ready. And he has a fascinating strategy to mitigate the loan to debt ratio if these places aren't selling right away. And you'll discover that in this interview. So once again, Michael Nicolai here. Oh, and before I forget, please, I need your help. You need to subscribe, like, and share. It's the only way we can get into the algorithms and get this podcast out to the world so others can hear it and glean wisdom from it like you're doing. So one more time, please subscribe, like, and share. And without further ado, let's jump right into this conversation with Pascal Nicolai. Well, Pascal, thanks for being on the call today. I'm excited to be able to speak with you. Not every day I get a guy that has already done 225 million in builds, and then you've got another 220 million in the pipeline.
Yes.
So I'm excited about that. But before we get ripping into this, let's go back to where it all started in France.
Yes.
And what were you doing before you became a builder?
So basically, I was a realtor in France. So I started very young. I was 17 years old. I was studying accounting in the university, and at the same time I was running a real estate company. And basically I did a lot of time, maybe 10 years in real estate as a broker. At the same time I was doing investment, which in buying real estate, like fixing and renting. This is one of my stuff in France. So I did very successful in France. It was super nice. It was south of France. So it was very nice weather, nice crowd. Then I got an opportunity in 2008 to leave France to go to the US because there was subprime time. And I took the advantage of this to start business here.
So you came over in 2008, and I got to say, what were you thinking of all the times to come? Everything's melting down in the US, and this is when you decide to come to America, plant your flag, and say, I'm going to start a construction business.
No, not at all. So what happened is I always wanted to leave France and to go to US, and especially to Miami, because it's kind of the same weather, same vibe that we have in south of France with sun, and secondly, it's very close from Europe. And honestly, I didn't know what I'm going to do besides doing real estate, because I only have what I know and what I want to do. And basically, when the subprime happened, I said to my wife at the time, look, I think there is one opportunity to go there is now. I don't think so we're going to see kind of opportunity in the future, our lives to go in US. So, and especially in Miami, because First of all, the market was crashed. It's very accessible for if you have some money, and maybe we can start something like there in real estate. And I didn't know what I'm going to do, to be honest. I didn't know. It was not construction at the time because my specialty was not builder. It was more like developer, which is when buying things, fixing, keeping, or selling. I was not in the business of construction. So then I arrived in Miami, and at that time, what the place in real estate to make money was auctions. So I started to do auctions, real estate auctions.
Well, so you had money when you came over, obviously. So
Yeah,
when you
yeah.
say auctions, you were buying properties and then flipping them, or what were you doing?
Okay, so basically, when I arrived, I wanted to buy real estate like not expensive because I was thinking since the subprime, the crisis, I can buy an apartment like third of the price, you know. So I start to shop around. Of course, I got some money from Europe because I sold some asset I have there, but not like crazy, but I got a good amount of money. And I say, look, I want to buy some distressed assets, and I got a price on my mind. And when I see a realtor and I want to buy this, they told me, you're never going to find this price on the market. You need to go to the court. So, okay, where's the court? So I went there and I start to buy a property at the court and fix it and flip it. It was more flipping business. So then what I did is I did like few buy, few resell. Then I got an investor coming back to me. So we love what you are doing. Let's do more. So we try to do a decent amount of deal. Maybe I will say 50, 80. I don't remember because it was back 2008, 9, 10, 11, beginning of 12. And then what we did, we realized, they say, look, I like the auction. So we want to know what there is before the auction. So because at the auction, the bank bring the foreclosure judgment and you bid on the foreclosure, right? So we were interested to. I was interested to know. Okay, what can we do before the foreclosure? Because when you are the foreclosure, you're bidding with other people. So maybe there is a way to get the deal before. So I tried to purchase non-performing note from bank. So which is I become to be the banker. I become to be the one foreclose the people. So then what I did is I get some like a lot of like non-performing note. I foreclosed deals. I sold in auction, but before because I didn't want to drop the price and keep for me. So I put the price of the full amount so nobody was interested to buy. So basically, I keep some like deal like this. And what happened is on the last time of foreclosure, because you understand that foreclosure, the judge gives you a foreclosure judgment when there is no equity on the property. Means that if you owe 1 million to the bank and your property worth 1.2 million to the bank, the judge lets you time to sell it. And the foreclosure was working when the amount of the loan of the debt was like twice superior at the market, you know. So then at the end, those market goes up, came back on the market, and the debt was almost what the value of the real estate. So the mechanically volume of foreclosure decreased. So what I did is I bought like some property that I say, okay, now I got this property, this land, so maybe I can try to build something on one land. You know what I mean? So what is it? Back 2012, I took one of my foreclosure and I built a house there. It was in Miami Beach. So I get decent price for the land. I get decent price for construction because at that time nobody's building, and I resell a very good price. I say, oh my God, this is good business now. So I want to do this. I want to be deeper on this business, and I start to repeat the system, buying more land and with partners, with investor, and developing and resell it. And then because I got partners that are doing a lot of high-end luxury business in Europe, like Courthouse, like in the high-end, and we decide to do only in a high-end luxury location. So for the first 5 years, I was diversifying, and after this, I was only buying only prime location lot. This is my specialty.
So you were buying high-end properties that were now in foreclosure? Is that the idea? And then
No, my first deal was issued from the foreclosure. My first proper
okay.
project, because the foreclosure was like ending. in 2012.
Mhm.
I got 2 or 3 properties that or either I can resell or either I can develop. So I'd say, okay, let's develop one to see how it goes. And when I develop one, it means I built and I design permitting and built. And when I resell, I say, oh my God, this is very good margin. So let's
I got
continue
it.
that way. This is where it comes that to be developer. So then what I did is I continued that way, meaning buying land, permitting, developing, the building and selling. This is my like where we focus. And with the time we say I want only do prime location, first location for very luxury project with like a very wealthy buyer. This is what my like focus is now.
Got it. Okay, so you're buying the land and developing it. Now
Yeah.
I understand. I thought you were buying homes. So at that point, what's that around? We're at
12.
2010, 2012?
I start developing in 2012 when the market pick up in Miami. So there is no more foreclosure. Interesting, you know, and I need to continue to do business in real estate because I'm very horizontal guy. I can do like from foreclosure to building to commercial, So the business in real estate, you need to adapt on the market. So
Sure.
at that time, the market was like there is no more foreclosure, and there is a huge like people wants really new houses. There was not in South Florida because nothing happened from 2008 2012, and people start to move in Florida, to move in Miami, not like for holidays. So a new market like came back, which is like not secondary houses, but more like primary houses.
Yeah, so not snowbirds like Canadians that are coming down for the
Yeah,
winter. Got
yes,
it. Yeah.
more because even in design is changing everything because when you live in New York or in Canada and you want a secondary house, you want something white, shine. You know what I mean? Something like.
Yeah.
But then when you want to live all year long, you want something more warm, cozy. So design change, architecture change, everything changed at that time.
How hard was it for you to adapt? So I'm still trying to process all this. You come to America, right?
Hmm.
You've got your French values and how things are done in France, and
Hmm.
you're adapting to the American market, and you can see trends already starting to form. You
Hmm.
already have an idea of what people are going to be buying because we're already getting out of that,
Yeah.
debacle 2012. How hard was it to find money at the time? Were banks opening up, or did you have to go to private sources? What did you have to do?
Okay. So basically, because I came from Europe, I have different vision than people that are living in US because in Florida, because when you live in Florida and you don't travel, you don't see what happened outside the world. You
Mhm.
think you think your city sucks. You think this. You have bad energy on it because you are all year long inside. But when you see what happened outside the US, outside in Europe, and you come in Miami and you see this, you see there's a huge potential, you know? And I was the first one, like back 10 years ago, saying that Miami going to become the new Monaco for the America. And it's where we are. I say this 10 years ago because I saw the potential of the city. And when I say Miami, I say Palm Beach, all this Southeast Florida, because I did a lot of foreclosure with investor, and those investor follow me for the next round was like developing. So I always has like good equity on my project. So as soon as you have good equity, which is like at 50% equity on the cost for investor, so finding financing from bank is not so much difficult because you have like a lot of cash to
Mhm.
start project. And then we have track record. I got track record. I show that like I know to do the job. And the most important, what I did too, is I internalized the construction, which was a very guarantee for bank that we're going to finish the job because most of the difficulty in developing, I mean, property in Florida is the strong power that the GC has and sometimes not like deliver the job that you request. And you could be stuck with your project because they change because they put change order that are not like even like justified, but they say if you don't pay, we put a lien, blah blah blah, and you stay like stuck with your project. The fact that I integrated the construction in my structure makes things like able to start and finish project, and bank likes it because they know that we are in control. Because the worst things for banks is to have like an unfinished project in hand. So I didn't have too much difficulty to find financing.
At this point, you're a trusted entity. You're almost like their lucky rabbit's foot because they can see that you can take on the project and take it to completion. So
Yes.
you're very, very low risk. I get that. But let's go back to France for a second. Were you bringing concepts that you learned in France from architecture style and then incorporating that into Miami? Was that kind of what differentiated what you were doing versus cookie cutter Miami type homes?
Yeah, because when I was in Miami, what I saw is all the same houses, same type, same because at that time there is two or three architects like they're working, and you can recognize, oh, this is the architect, this is the architect. You can recognize the house. And the second point is the difference between Europe and US is architect they get paid when they get a permit, when they have the permit, and they like to do a nice outside house, nice project. But they don't really work on the floor plan, on the inside the project, because for them, they are not following the project. Means in France, the architect is the GC. Means the architect follow the project is the GC, is the one who organized the construction and the one who's taking responsibility if there is something wrong inside. Let's say you put a wall on the wrong place or this thing doesn't work, the architect have to manage it and have to change it on his own. Because if the guy is the person who's facing the responsibility. In Florida, because I don't know over market, is completely different. The architect finish his job when he get a permit. Then he give the plan, the permit to the owner, and the owner manage with the GC. So what happened is the GC, if there is something wrong, he say, guys, this is wrong, you need to correct. And then he provide change order. So there's no responsibility, there's no link between the GC and the architect, who makes all the difference. So because the architect say, okay, I did my job, now there is a mistake, okay, we're going to process the mistake. But at the same time, this mistake, you have to pay, as the owner, you have to pay to the GC, because the GC say, okay, now it's not the same price, it's a change order, there's mobilization, I'm losing like a month to do this, you know what I mean? So you need to pay my project manager and stuff. So this is one of the difference I noted. The second difference, which is the floor plan with the inside. And what I did is I imported some designer architect from Europe to US for my first project, and especially his work floor plan, because the flow is very important. When now I'm showing my houses for sale, and you have a buyer staying like an hour, 2 hours inside, because they feel comfortable, is where you did a good floor plan, And it's the reason why I'm always selling my house at breaking records. Always, all of them, I broke the records on the sale. Because I think outside is important, but inside is where people live, is very important that they feel comfortable.
Did you have to find something out the hard way? Like when you're talking to me about how architects work in France versus in the US, and that they're more like the general contractor, did you find that out the hard way, that you assumed that architects in the US work the same?
I found because of the first project, I use a GC here, and I realized that, when you get a permit, when you have a permit, it not means that your plan are perfect, because the permit is divided in many sections, mechanical, structural, civil, and everything. And at the CD, you have a reviewer for each discipline. But there is no superposition of all the discipline together. So what happens is when you start construction, you can find a lot of inconsistency between the structure and the architecture, So first, let's say you're supposed to install an IC and you have a beam on the middle. So you cannot install it. You need to perforate the beam. You need to have a structural engineer on board. You need to, you know what I mean? And you're losing time. So this is one of the main things I found. It. So what we do now, we do a plan. We like to pre-construction. We like juxtapose all the discipline together. We prefer to lose some time at the beginning and then stop during the construction. But if I was not my own GC, they will kill me. You have to understand, and like a kid sample is when I get a permit, sometimes I'm buying land with permit approved. I'm saving time, and you have an average of which called RFI, request for information to the architect, or average of project is 150 RFI. So before starting, you have an average of 150 RFI, means like if I'm starting construction, I'm going to face small and big problem. So what I brought from Europe is this floor plan, some construction techniques too. I discovered that in Florida, where I'm working, that they use very, very old techniques that does not exist in Europe since 4 years. So we try to bring more efficient project and techniques and materials that was no use. We are the first one, I guess, doing like big tiles. Like, well, the first one doing like tiles that are 1 meter by 3 meters. They like back 10 years ago. I guess we will use special rules that they even doesn't exist in Florida. But that I remember one day is like we import this tile with this cutting machine, and they start to cutting, and all the contractor for other project, they come in the house to see, oh, what is it? We never seen this, you know. So we were the first one to import the machine to do the stucco. I was doing the stucco by hand, and the first one we used this machine to do the stucco, which make the stucco very impeccable. They didn't use it for so like I tell you like 10 years ago we start to do this. What else we bring? We bring some European concepts, some European lifestyle in house, different things that people recognize now.
So that must have given you quite the competitive advantage, because now once people start finding out about your homes,
Mhm.
you're so much different. Did that really help with the sales process? Like, did
Uh,
that get the word out that here's this new guy with a really unique style of building?
yes and no. You need to respect some standards for American because they like big bathroom, big closet. So you cannot invent too much things because let's say if you don't do your kitchen countertop in marble or in stone, you're not in the trend of the market, you know. Or if you don't put like a sub-zero fridge or whatever things that they recognize. But yes, I think what we brought is more like I said earlier, floor plan circulation and very high-end finishes, more very detailed, more like a floating baseboard, more like lot of carpentry all around the house. You know, we are one of the first working on drop ceiling plan. You know, most of the house, you have the ceiling is flat and you have the light. We were the first one working on like a drop ceiling, a niche for lighting, you know, a niche for drapery and shade, you know, all this start working on this. What we brought, yes, we did a lot of like room analysis, means like we change the floor, depend of the room with a pattern where let's say when we tile the house or when we install the wood floor, we have a design book by average pages by house is 300 pages with rendering and stuff. And we even say to the tile guy when you have to start the tile, when you have to finish, which tile goes where, you know, we don't let people like tile the way they want.
Mhm.
And we'll, of course, make the process for installation because we don't want to use the process they have. We have our own installation process that which is very European process with like double glue and a step that they don't we don't do on the mortar what they do here. Like we're very like picky on this kind of finishes.
Did you have any kind of trouble in terms of what you wanted to do here in terms of your design and build? Were you running into difficulty with getting permits? Was there any pushback at all?
Yes. Okay. So the depend the city, man, the code are very like very hard for to have some like design and imagination because
Mhm.
they say the setback, this, the recess, you have to have this, you have to have that. That it makes the house not similar to other one, but always have the same like kind of shape. You know what I mean? So it's
Mhm.
very difficult to. You can, and we do, but it's not like freelance that you can get in Europe because of the code regulation. But as soon as you are in the code and you understand and you do a good job, it's processing time because permitting is very long time to get it in Florida. Is that my average is like 18 months starting design and starting building. No, if you respect the code, you can get your permit. They can tell you, oh, we don't like this, but it's very rare. As soon as you respect the code.
Was there anything that you saw when you were building, when you looked at the American architecture, let's call it that, that you kind of scratched your head and said, "What are you thinking? Like, this is so far behind what we're doing. in France or in Europe in general. Were there any things like that that kind of made you laugh or question what
Yeah,
they were
no,
thinking?
so I don't say American because when you're in Florida, it's different than America. I mean, like our
Okay.
state.
Yeah.
So you already have like people on the Sunshine State, it's already like lot of foreigner. So you have already this inspiration of people already like educated on design and on this. But yes, there was a lot of city that, or they didn't authorize contemporary house at the time. So you always have a lot of like Mediterranean house, old house, even the brand new house was like kind of like Key West style or colonial, it was not like to the city didn't at that time very authorized on modern because there was scarce about modern. We don't do modern, we do contemporary, which is like a modern architecture, but very like organic, wood, very like a house you can live and stay all your life inside without like
Mhm.
feel cold. You know what I mean? This is our like signature.
Well, you said the big difference was these are the type of homes that you want to live in versus that you're visiting like a tourist.
Yes, yes. This is important because when I arrived in Miami in 2008 and I was seeing houses, there's all was white box, white floor, white wall. Everything was white. I say, why is it so white? And I understand that when the people live in the place where not too much sun and they want to have a house for holidays, they want the house with shining. You know what I mean? So I
Yeah.
understand. But now they want, because they live there, they want a very cozy house with wood, with like organic material, stone, white stone, no dark, but at least natural materials.
Would you say that, without being ego in the equation, but you've had an impact on the way things changed in Miami and Florida in terms of high-end homes, in terms of the architecture, the structure, the design. You had a direct impact on the way homes were being built moving forward then.
Yes, I guess, because I guess that people, when they see that we are selling price like crazy, that they go in the same direction, which is design is one thing, is execution. Because you can have like a very like 10,000 square foot house, modern, whatever else. And when you go inside, I saw, for instance, I always say this stories because it's very funny to understand and to understand the situation, what Miami was, is that there is a guy is seeing a house of $20 million house. And it was like 1 meter 80 tall, 1 meter 90, close to 2 meter. And the shower head for the bathroom was 1 meter 60, maybe 5.2, So this guy was going in the 20 million house. He said, when I gonna make a shower, the shower head is like is arriving here, because the plumber was short. So he can go he can go higher, So this is what we brought, is like we understand that house is an object is very like special object that it need to be treated on all dimension, all duration, and it needs to be very like taking care, like building a Ferrari. You know what I mean? You cannot like
Yeah.
let people decide what they're gonna do the tire, when they're gonna put this, what they're gonna put. I'm gonna tell you another example. When you go any house is modern, even today, you know, all the electrician put the plugs at 10 feet from the floor, and 10 inch for the floor. But there's no regulation. And it's not nice. It's like it makes like a commercial space, But because all the electrician in their courses by default they put like 10 inch for the floor. So I say, guys, why? No, you need to be at 3 or 4 inch for the floor to be nice. You know what I mean? And you can enter in $30 million house and you see this like commercial, plugs all around the house with no specified location, because the same when you have the MEP engineer, electric engineer, he designed by books, he don't design by design. So we have to, each time we design a house, we have to work with the engineer and say, no, we don't want the plug here. We know the code. You put here, put one here, this level, this, this is what we make add value on our business. You cannot just like let electrician doing the job without like supervising, And I can give you like 30, 100 sample like this.
You had a competitive advantage back then because you were doing things that nobody else was doing. Then the competition sees what you're doing, they're copying. Do you find that you still have a competitive advantage, or what are you doing to, I'm not saying reinvent yourself, but what are you doing in today's market to keep that competitive edge that you had when you first came?
Yeah, so basically, I don't have too much competition for very nice reason. First of all, my competitor, they are people, they are doing one house every year. So, and they are very involved in their production. So they are my competitor. But people that are doing on my volume doesn't exist. Building a brand house, very, very detailed and very luxury market is a very big personal investment. So most of the developer, they prefer to do big buildings or 30, 40, 80 houses, They are not in my niche market because it's too complicated. It's taking too much resources and they make less money than doing like volume things. So I don't have too much competition in my volume. Most my competitor, they are the guy who is doing one house or two house, one house a year or two, one project every 5 years. And is very, well, basically was doing for him and then he decided to sell. This is my competition.
So what's the price? So one of your homes typically, give me a price range.
My home are from like 20 million to 80, 90 million.
How many would you be building at any given time?
An average of between 6 and 8 projects at different stage all the time. So basically, now I have like 2 houses on the market done. I got 3 or 4 under construction, 3 under development, always like getting like an average of 8 project. Plus, I'm building for various special clients, which like high-end houses, only high-end houses. And I got like 3 or 4 every year outside, what I call outside like construction.
Pardon my French here. I'm going to say tas de colole. Like you've got balls, man, to be able to. No wonder your competition can't keep up. So, how do you mitigate the risk? Because you've got a lot of money now involved. Is that your money? Is it investors? Is it bank? How do you break up that risk?
Okay, this is look. First of all, is the leverage. I have low leverage. So the risk in real estate is when you have to sell. Okay, if you can keep, you never get a risk. Fair. The risk is very low. So this is my strategy. First of all, 50% equity on cost. There is no exception. It means that the LTV on the bank when the project is finished is close to 30%. So when you have 30% loan to value, you know that you can borrow more money if there is something wrong, if you need more money to finish, or whatever the reason, and you need to keep the project. Second of all, what we are doing is when our house is finished, we put in rental configuration. High-end rentals means the house are ready to move in with towels, coffee machine, like everything you can imagine in the house, like silverware, like everything, and we rent the house with high price. We select the renter. Let's say most of the time is a couple or single guy, wealthy guy, just is coming like, and we give him a discount on the rent, but he have 60 days to live when we sell. So we mitigate the risk like this. So we have like an income's coming, he cover the carrying cost because we have low leverage. And when we sell, is the guy did the house is not for me is not considered like used because it's one guy or in 10,000 square feet house, or maybe one couple, it's not like they're like is like the third house. They rent the house just to come like 3 months a year. This is our target.
That's brilliant. Like it's so simple, but it's so elegant. I never even thought of that. You've got these high-end properties, and then
Yeah.
at the same time you're generating cash flow, so
Yeah.
it's offsetting your expenses because
Yeah.
they're renting.
And then because this is one of the things, I'm very picky on my price and I don't jeopardize 5 years of work, hard work, and have to sell at discount because you need to sell because you need the cash. This is the first one. The second one, you need to work with educated investor too, who they understand your business because you say the investment time period could be 24 and 5 years, but sometimes it could be 7 years. And you cannot work with some people. They say, "Oh, I want my money back because I need to live." You know what I mean? So we need to select investors that are very businessmen. They understand the project and they only care about what they're going to get in return. The time is a factor, but as soon as they are the returns, they don't care. So this is the way I'm working because I don't want to sell my house for like discount. It's impossible. I can't do this. I prefer to rent and wait.
Yeah, that rental buffer.
When you wait, always someone's coming to buy because they know that you're not negotiable. They know that your product are the best. And I'm not overpriced my project too. I'm not like putting crazy number to get it. I'm very working on comparables. So there is the market is there today. I'm on this price. But I don't sell less. There's no reason
Yeah.
because the product is very, very, very good. And the one very important thing is we are with our buyer for years. Even if we give like 1 year warranty, like contract warranty, 2 years after, 4 years after, the guy is calling and saying, I got an issue with this on my house. We're there all the time. We are there because our products are like our babies. We think about them, we build them, we like this school for nothing, and we know the house by heart, and we want buyer happy, and we help as much we can.
But you also know that a clientele like that, like they love you. Like if you've built something that's so elegant
Mm.
for them and they love the experience and they're in there, they're going to tell everybody they know. And again, it's such a small niche that you're
Yeah,
in, relatively speaking. So you have to be there as soon as they call because that shows who you are, your character, that you
yeah,
believe in the product that you've done.
yeah.
But again, it makes them raving fans.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, yeah.
wonderful.
Yes, but nobody is
Yeah.
doing this because people they only have short term like mindsets. And you know what? It's not only because of the short term or long term mindset. It's the way that we approach a business. Is not
Mhm.
only selling and take money to people. Is giving a service. Be here and be here for in 5 years when they need to sell the house and they need us to help because the new buyer wants to have plan, wants to have this, want to have this information. We always there. And my team is like dedicated because you have to understand as house, and especially in the high-end house, well, all the house are not like immobile object. House settle with the time. House, there is thing happening that you cannot see in the construction, some leak happening a year after or 2 year after. And you cannot just like say to the buyer, look, the leak is your problem because we have all the plan, we have all the information. I could do this, but it's not our. We say, okay, no problem. You have a leak. We are coming, and in 30 minutes we fix it. That if the guy using another person, they're gonna destroy the house and they're gonna lie. They're gonna say, oh, it's coming from this. It's coming from this problem, and they're gonna take money of the people, and then they're gonna destroy my house because I always say my house, even if it's not mine. And I don't want someone touch and messed up what we make years to build.
Yeah, it kind of makes me think of, somebody wants to buy a Cadillac, and they could spend, I don't know, 150. Well, my wife was telling me what do you call it? The Accolade, it looks like a big school bus. They're like 200,000. Or you buy a Ferrari, right? Two different vehicles. And in your case, you're that Ferrari, which is in a completely different market, which means your buyers have a completely different expectation that you have to cater to. So yeah, again, kudos. That whole idea of renting, I can't get over that. Typically, then, how long would a lease be on one of
Usually,
your
usually
properties?
it depends. Usually, sometime I'm selling the house and I didn't have time to rent. But last time I had a house on Miami Beach on Venetian, I rent like 18 months. 18 months. I didn't because the house was difficult for sale for not difficult for sale. There's a moment. The design was very at that point too much European. It was one of my first one, and I need to find someone who wanted, and I rent the house 100K a month to one single guy. So I get like 1.8 million like over my carrying cost, and when I sell the price I wanted since the beginning, and it works, and the client is happy, the house is perfect, and the guy, for instance, now he's renting the house, and we're still working with him because the tenants want to do some change, and we're doing for him. And he continues, well, why don't you work with me because you know the house by heart and it's faster.
Yeah. It seems like everything that you've done, I don't want to say it's an experiment, but you've done something, you look back, you've learned from it, you've taken what you've learned, and then you move on to the next project. So it's this constant evolution,
Of
if
course.
you will, to get you to where you are right now. Has there ever been a point along that progression where your back was right up against the wall and you're thinking, man, what did I do? I just got in too far. Like, has there ever been a moment like that? Because no builder has been able to perfectly execute from beginning to end.
Yeah, I
There
know. I
must
know.
have been. Yeah.
I want to tell you, this is very important, this question, because it's all the sense of what I'm doing. So basically, my first house, because difference is I'm developer, builder, and the seller. So I'm facing the buyer all the time. When I sell and when the guy has a problem, the only person he knows is me or my team. You know. So builder, there are sometimes they work for the owner, but then they leave. When it's finished, they leave. They don't have liability on the sale. You know, like they have liability on some construction, but they don't have liability on the sale, on the reputation, on everything. So I did one of my first house I did for the client, and I was very proud of this house, beautiful house. But the buyer was Belgian guy from Belgium. He was in the closes business. You know, the close business. This guy has like maybe 80 stores around Europe. And he's really was the most picky guy I never seen in my life. You know, I want to tell you, when I sold the house, when he go inside the house, he was happy. Then he started to look like things that even my eyes didn't see. Or it was, let's say, there is like a baseboard, there is like micro touch of painting. It was not like perfect, you know, things like this. And I saw, my God, and I realized that I was far away from the perfection. Even if at that time I thought the house was beautiful, and he saw the house twice the price he paid. But it made me understand that I would say like 8, 10 years ago. It makes me thinking that I'm not there at all. You know, I need to work more. I need to get more competencies, more things. So, and all my project going in this direction. Each time thinking we're facing the client, thinking that it needs to be perfect. So we structure the company. We have a quality control, project manager. We don't make a payment if the quality control don't validate the price. And then for the finishes, I'm going there, and sometimes I'm reading things completely. There is house are like, I went there and I say to my team, no, this is not acceptable. And I changing and read on this job 200K. I'm doing with no problem because I want the perfect product. And now with the time, with the process we put on the table, we're very like a IT company organized. So for each trade, we have process. And now even the subcontractor we use, they have to sign on our process. We don't let them like choosing the glue, choosing the anything. They have a process. They need to sign a process. They need to start one sample to see if they understand the process. And then we give them the contract. And we have to control them all the time.
So you're a very hands-on developer. Like you touch everything from beginning to end.
Yes, because if you
Yeah.
break it down, you don't know where the problem comes from.
Yeah.
And if you let people doing, they always say that is the fault of another person. So even if I give responsibility to a subcontractor doing something, I'm supervising the subcontractor. And I actually correct this, because at the end, I'm going to be the one who's going to face. Because a lot of people tell me, yes, me, the subcontractor is responsible. Okay, he's responsible. Okay, maybe I make a lawsuit, I'm going to get some money. But it's not the goal. The goal is to deliver an impeccable project. So it's better to catch up at the beginning than make a lawsuit to any subcontractor. This almost the time don't have money. They're losing time. It's better to be behind them during the construction and pushing them like to do an excellent job at the beginning. You know what I mean? You know, last time I'm doing a big house on Manalapan. You know Manalapan in Florida?
No, I was about to ask you about that project because that
Yes,
seems to be the sweet spot now.
yes. So Manalapan, basically my right neighbor is Larry Elisa. So it's very, very, I'm doing a house that going to maybe price around 80 million, you know? So, and I got this, one electrician is, so I take the boss of the electrician and I say, I want you install the box in that way. So the guy take his team, he say, okay, you need to install the box in that way because we want to have an impeccable drywall. Guess what? The boss is leaving, the employee installed on the other way. So, and I my team beyond. No, we did it that way. You know what I mean? Why we're selling expensive? Because we're providing it's expensive and we're providing, and it's not expensive. It's not a more you pay the subcontractor, better the quality is. No, no. More you invest yourself in team to control people, better the quality is. Because you can use a very subcontractor, they say, oh, me, I'm expensive, I'm doing good. There, you know what? There are many jobs and they are putting employees there. They don't have supervision, or sometimes they pass. So it's only marketing. Me, I can use like a title guy is not expensive, but I make it expensive because my team behind make like is expensive people are very like high qualified people, and they make people work properly. This is our secret.
How do you so you're very proud of everything you do, I can tell. Like you've got that sense of my name is written on this project.
Yeah, for sure.
How do you take that sense of pride and how do you instill that into the people that are working with you that they're not treating it like a job to move on to the next one? Like that's hard to instill your beliefs, your philosophy into them.
Yeah, it's one of the difficult. But first of all, start educated subcontractor. When they come in the job site, we made a meeting before, we'll explain them that the job site is not garbage. So every day before leaving, they clean. It's mandatory. There's no like, even if there is one thing, they clean. Just to make them understand that the project you have to respect. You have to respect the project, you have to respect the company, and you have to respect people that are working on it. You have to respect my investor, you have to respect the bank, you have to respect everybody. It's not like acceptable to find any like kind of garbage or even if the job is garbage by himself, But you go on my job site, there you can eat on the floor when it's on the concrete. He start by educating, explain to the subcontractor what you expect from them, and you need to teach them. This is, I think, the most important. And then when they understand you are beyond those people, they don't have a choice to execute it perfectly. And beside this, and I want to tell you, I have things too. I'm not like, it's not perfect. There are always things, but we fix it. You know what I mean? But at least we avoid lot of like bad situation because we had bad situation before, to be honest. We like, it was not always like what is it now. Like when I start my things, I got like two projects. They were like, no, they're like nice for me, but you can talk about them, about the project. So, and since we like the, I don't want to, I want to face an happy buyer or an happy client who asked me to build a house for him. I want the guy happy. I want this, you know what? I want my brand Sabal be recognized as very luxury hand. And the guy, when he comes from a sales company, he wants to build a $20 million house. He knows that he's going to get a quality. And he knows that in 2 years, he come back, the house is going to be impeccable.
It's interesting. You've discovered early that it's the little things that make all the difference. So it kind of reminds me of Giuliani when he was cleaning up New York. He didn't go after the big. He started off with cleaning the subways every day. They would spray paint, like take off all the graffiti. If there were broken windows in abandoned, buildings, they would fix the windows. Even though the windows would be broken almost every day, they always fix the windows, clean the subways. Because what they found is if you let the little things manifest, they get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger.
Respect for me is very important. And I always take responsibility of my actions. So I'm not saying I'm a perfect. I know like maybe one day I'm going to make a house and something going to go wrong. And one buyer is going to say, oh, we don't like this, we don't like that. But I want to tell you, I will be there until it's perfect. This is my philosophy.
Well, I think your philosophy is like everybody's going to make a mistake. That's life, right?
Yeah, that's nice.
But you're judged not on the mistake. You're judged on how you fixed what you did.
Exactly.
And that's what they look at.
We have a client who's just buy the house for like 4 years ago. He went to resell. There was like huge rain in Miami, like I would say months ago. He sent a text message. We have a WhatsApp group, and I'm always inside. And 4 years after, he sent a text message. 30 minutes after, there was someone in his house, and they fixed the small leak, and it cost him anything. Of course, if there is a big job, you're gonna pay, but we're gonna handle it. You know what I mean? And this guy is super happy, and like, he knows that we're here. It's very, very good for buyer because most of those people that are traveling, they don't want to manage like a house. Like I hope gonna make our difference.
One question I forgot to ask, and it's probably the most obvious question. Sabal, where did that come from? What does it mean?
Okay, this is okay. This is very simple. When I was doing the foreclosure, I did an amazing move on in foreclosure, you can buy distressed people that don't pay the mortgage, but you can buy as well as people that don't pay the HOA, right? So as I was buying this HOA lien in one of the best community in Miami on the house was maybe 5,000 square feet. and it was sitting on like 20,000 square feet land. And I bought this lien for like $20,000. Okay. I rent the house for 3 years at $6,000 a month. And then I went to the bank, I bought the note for 1.5, I resell the house for 3.5. And I say, I think it's a very like amazing deal. And this house was on the Sabal road, you know? And I say, you know what? This road give me like so much luck and so much profits. Okay, I want to make Sabal. That's it.
Very good. Very good.
And then
What is
sometimes
it that,
it's a tree, it's a kind of palm tree, you know?
in terms of what you look for now, like you've got many projects on the go and you've done so many of these, is there any one thing that excites you? Like, uh, I guess the question I'm going to ask is, what is your favorite one that you've done so far? And I asked this question once before, and the builder told me the favorite one is the one I'm doing next.
Yeah, yeah. So no, yeah, no. It's not my favorite one. My goal, and in this is continue to do houses is fine because we are doing good. But I want to bring this expertise on, let's say, boutique condominium, meaning like 10, 12 units, meaning on the beach. Actually, I'm like buying something on the beach in Palm Beach County. And my dream is to do this really high-end condominium because, you know, people buying condominium, they're always like, there is no finishes. Never. And I want to bring what we have in houses in condominium. Means like you buy an apartment for my company. You go inside, there is everything. There is TV, automation, drapery, bed, furniture, design. It's not like we give you the key and then you spend another year to build out. You know what I mean? This is and very like high-end and high-end in amenities, high-end in quality of people. It's not very chic. This is my next project and what I would love to do because I think that as in the boutique condominium, I have my space there.
How far away are you from doing that, actually
Yeah,
executing?
I'm under contract on the land on the beach in Palm Beach County. I'm just like looking up because there is like difficulty to build it, to see if it works. But if it's not this one, it's going to be another one day. But you have to be prime location lot. You have to be like very like one apartment by floor, you know, like a 10, 15 million each apartment, something like this. This is what I'm looking for.
Is there anything, so we're talking about this project, but you have a keen eye for what you want.
Mm.
What is it that when you're taking on a new project, what is it that you're looking for? Because, so let me stop for a second. You are a spec high end builder, meaning the client didn't come to you first and say, here's what I want. You're like the last of the cowboys
Mhm.
that you're risking everything, building a home, you're funding it with your money,
Mhm.
right? And you're funding it with your taste, what you think is going to sell.
Mhm.
So, like, I think of you as like a cowboy. You're willing to take all that risk. What is it that you look for before you even put the shovel in the ground? What is it in terms of the geography, the potential of the project? What is it specifically that Pascal looks for?
Okay. Basically, when I'm looking at some project, I'm looking, the land cannot have a feature that you cannot change. I mean, let's say if you have a land and there is like a view and there is like a bridge, you cannot change the bridge, cannot remove it. You know, if you are like a neighbor is the tennis court, you cannot remove it. You know, so everything I cannot remove it. I'm very pay attention when this so and then of course I'm looking for prime location. This is the minimum, and then I'm looking all the problem that I can when I'm gonna build. I got very good imagination to see the final product. So when I go in the land and I know exactly when I'm in my living room, what I want to see. You know, I know exactly what the I want the pool in this project because I've like I got this big. First of all, I used to live in many big houses, so I know what is it. It's not like people they are doing development, they are doing houses, but they never live in $20 million houses. They never travel. They never been in 5-star hotel in the time or maybe one time. So I'm traveling a lot. I got houses in Europe. I got like I'm going in many place very like Courchevel, like with Pisa, it could be like Saint-Tropez or whatever it is. So I know was a different vision and orientation. So I know exactly what this house need to have to be exceptional. And what I'm doing too is I always try to bring something that you cannot see on our house at that time. Let's say my house is $20 million house. You look the $20 million around, you see nice pool, like so. I say, okay, what I can do in this house when the buyer gonna come and he gonna see our house, he gonna say, okay, I see the other house are nice, but this house has this. So let's say one day I did the house like this, and I did the a pool basically 3 times of the size of the all the pool around it. So when you have 20 million to buy and you go and you see all the houses are all the same, nice, like nice finishes, and you see mine and you say, wait, look, the pool here is huge, super nice. You know what I mean? So it cost me a little bit more, but the effect on the buyer is like you remove the competition unless you don't like pool. You know what I mean? But so always I try to bring something like makes mine the same, but at this thing in more that other people don't have. And then the buyer say, okay, if I don't buy this one, if I buy this one, I will miss this. This thing like this.
It's interesting because they want it at that price point, they want everything to be
Yeah.
unique and it has to say something
Yeah.
about them, and
Yes.
as you said, it can't be like the 3 other custom homes down the street
Yes.
that all look the same, but maybe I don't know, infinity pool, or maybe they use different tiling. But it just sounds like everything you've done from beginning to where you are now has been one unique experiment after the other, that you just keep pushing that envelope.
Yeah.
And I think the real benefit has been you had the European influence. So you've already had, the
Yeah.
culture, everything that's in France and Europe, and you bring that here to,
Yeah.
it's almost like going back into history, into a foreign land, and you're bringing electricity for the first time.
Yeah.
That's kind of the advantage that you had. Yeah.
But there's another point too is each time I do a house, I imagine myself living inside. I don't do just give to the architect a project and say, design me a house. No, I imagine myself living in this house. So I say, okay, this is house is for me. What I'm going to do is the reason why we say we are spec builder. We are not, we are spec builder, but the house, when you buy a house, normally you don't have to do anything. You can move in. So it's more than spec. Spec is you let the house. The house is not like is finished. Is you have the CO is livable, but it's not like extremely finishes. When you go on my houses, you see there is like wallpaper. There is everything like paneling, carpet, light, lamp. Books. Is more than spec house. Is the house that tomorrow you want to move in, you move in. You have even like towels in the bathroom. Even the soap. You know, the soap,
They're buying the home. So
buying
the
home.
difference is it's a house, you're selling them a home.
Yes.
It's almost like you walk in and you can smell, the champagne and
Ex
caviar or whatever already
exactly.
going through.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we did like sometime we did some event in the house with like luxury brand, and they go in and say, "Oh my gosh, it's beautiful. Your house is beautiful." And we sell it because I think we like people. European culture, they have imagination, and they can buy a house and finish. American culture, they want things ready to move in. They say, okay, new house. I remember I did one house in Island Beach, and like the house was finished, but I didn't receive the furniture, you know? So I make a showing, and the person's, oh, no, it's too far away to be finished. It is finished, it's just missing. No, it's too far away. 2 weeks after I put the furniture, another clients come, we buy right away.
Yeah.
So when they need to feel the atmosphere.
I'm almost embarrassed to ask this question, but I'm going to ask it. I'm going to start off by saying if there was no limit to price,
Mhm.
okay, no limit to price, is there anything or a couple of things that you would like to try in the next build that you do? Something that really speaks to who Pascal is that would make it even more remarkable and exceptional than the last one that you built. Price is no object.
Yeah, yes, but Pascal is a simple guy.
Yeah.
So I'm not like, I understand. I sold all this house with helipad, blah blah blah, all these things with like a lot of ostentatory stone, gold, or it's not my style. My style is I want people, they buy the house, they feel home. So if you put too much things to just to shine on from the public, is not cozy. This is my personality. My personality is I'm accessible to everybody. I can live in a simple place, in a big place, but always needs to have a vibe. My definition of the luxury is freedom and the vibe. The vibe needs to be here. So I can do 20,000 square feet house, 100 million, 200 million, but you're always going to see very chic, cozy, all the detail that they bring you, that you love your house, not as a trophy, as the really things that you want to live inside. Because the purpose of the house at the end of the day is to live inside. A lot of people forget it. They try to impress. They try to impress. They are doing double living room, like nobody want to have a dinner there because it's like is a train station. You know?
Well, so
No.
it's funny that you say that because okay, so hold on. Before you say train station, I moved from the city
Mhm.
25 years ago. We had a beautiful condo overlooking the lake. Like it was gorgeous. This is in Toronto, right? I live in a train station, my friend.
Yeah.
So we sold the condo, came up here into the country, 2 hours north, and it's a train station that we have renovated.
Mhm.
And like when you talk about big rooms, it used to be a banquet hall. So part
Yeah.
of it was run as a banquet hall. We turned that into our great room, big stone fireplace. I'll send you pictures after. But I do live in a train station. Yeah.
Yeah.
So easy what you say about train stations.
No, it's fine. I mean, that is not.
Yeah.
I feel because I saw a lot of houses, and maybe when you are more like less modern,
Yeah.
you can work on it. But for I
Yeah.
want to tell you, I saw many modern house. When you see the living room like this double height ceiling, and you see the dining table on the middle, you don't see yourself.
Oh, some of them are hideous. Like they're expensive. I know a friend of mine, a dentist, he built a house, $2 million home. And when you walk into the kitchen, it feels that you've walked into a surgical theater
Yeah,
because all of the cupboards and the shelving all feel like what he has in the dentist's office.
yeah.
So there's nothing cozy about it. It doesn't say home. It just said like, oh, if I open this drawer, there's going to be a scalpel in there.
No,
Right.
my point is, we are thinking as the buyer, the new owner wants to stay in his house like even the weekend because he's so happy. This is the idea.
One last question, my friend. Like you're in a high risk, high stress, and you won't admit it, but it is
Yeah,
profession.
sure.
When
Oh,
What do you do to unplug and just say, "Ooh, I just need to step back. I got to recharge." What is it that you do to recharge Pascal's battery?
I'm recharging in Saint Bart, you know? Yeah, I mean, actually in Saint Barthélemy in Caribbean. This is my recharge place. And the summer I'm going in Europe for like 2, 3 months. This is my recharging. This is what like I feel. Because I need to travel because I need to see what's going on. I need to see the how the people live. And when I come back in Florida, I say, my gosh, guys, you are so lucky to live the life we have in Florida. If you compare what the mess is abroad, trust me. And then you more motivation to continue to do more because you know that this life, honestly, the life in Florida is not the real life.
No,
It's like
no, no.
no, is luck. We are lucky to have to live there. I won't tell you.
Yeah, that's a piece of heaven, definitely. My friend, anything that we didn't cover that you want to touch on?
No, it's fine. If you have any questions, like I'm very good.
All right. Well, Pascal, I want to say once again, thank you for taking time out today. I learned a lot. I'm still getting over the renting to generate cash flow. Again, I think that's a brilliant, so simple, but brilliant strategy that you've implemented. My friend, thanks for being so generous with your time today.
Welcome.
Thanks for listening to Builder Straight Talk. Make sure to like, comment, and share this episode on your favorite social media platform. And don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, available wherever you get your podcast streaming fix. Until next time, keep building smarter. This episode is made possible by our parent company, Sound Capital, funding built for builders.